An immaculate inning. 9-pitch, 3 strikeout. Rarely happens in baseball.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Immaculate Inning Podcast. Shane is back. And we are so happy to have him back. Keenan is on a cruise because South Carolina has spring break. He's not dedicated. He's not he's not grinders like us. You know, we're out here getting things done, getting things moving, shaking it up, bringing you the news that you need. And he's over here relaxing on a pool deck somewhere on some big old ship in the ocean, living life up to its fullest, you know. So you know. You know who the real ones are. But nah, he'll be back. All jokes aside. We wish him a fun vacation. We've had some things have happened. Some big news has happened. Some small news has happened, and we're gonna dive into it. So first things first, I think that we're gonna rock and roll right into Matt Chapman signs a 3-year. See, what is it? So what's the total dollar amount? Well, it's like 3 years, like 50, or it's very similar to the Cody Bellinger. I don't have a full dollar amount.
I believe it's a 4-year deal. Oh no,
Is it a
excuse me.
4-year? Yeah, I think you're right.
3-year, $54 million, and it has a
Yeah.
4th-year option, I believe, or something like that.
Yeah. So what the first year is 18, and then a 17, and then 18 with a player option or something, and then the third.
It averages
there's
about
an opt out after every year.
Yeah, it averages to about the average annual value is about 18. It is 18, which is
so
yeah. I want to pull up some stats on him because honestly, he kind of has an interesting resume to me.
I can't remember if we talked about this last week or not when Keenan was here, but like he's kind of the reverse Cody Bellinger. Like the peripherals, like the advanced stats, hard hit, barrel rate, all that was like super high this past year, but the production just was not there. He just wasn't getting hits, wasn't getting the results outside of after like this second month of the season. But the Giants are making some moves, you know? Like they're starting to look more and more like a wild card team to me. A team that, you know, probably isn't going to contend in the West, but looking like a team that's going to make a push for a wild card. You know, like their rotation could potentially be pretty good, above average. Their lineup has gotten better. They've added 3 high-end bats with Jung Ho Lee, right? And then Matt Chapman and Jorge Soler. So they've got some contact, got some big power guys, lockdown defense at third. They've got Patrick Bailey behind the dish, the rookie catcher, who is a wizard defensively. A little bit of a question mark offensively, a little here and there, a little hot and cold. But you know they've got Mike Yastrzemski out there in the outfield. They've got was it Mauricio? Who's the rookie, the prospect shortstop that they have? Mauricio Laureano.
Something like that. I'm looking at their depth chart now. They have Lamont Wade.
Yep, he was there. Or no, Wilmer Flores was their like best hitter last year. He'll be back. Kind of playing a utility role.
Oh, Michael Conforto. That's a big bat one.
Yeah, Michael Conforto. So
no, I agree. I think it's weird. That division's so kind of weird. I mean, obviously the Dodgers are favorites, and the Diamondbacks have made moves to put themselves again for another. I mean, honestly, a World Series run. I wouldn't doubt it. And then the Padres are such a question mark. Like they have the talent to get to the playoffs and all that. And then you have the Giants in there. Like that division's really going to be a scramble in terms of. I mean, I think of the wild card spots, and I think in terms of the teams to win the division, I think it's between the Diamondbacks and the Dodgers, in my opinion. But
yeah,
it makes it interesting. So I have some stats that I think are interesting, Drew, but I want you to get to your points before you.
I mean, no, I'd love. I think we can hear your stats, and then I'll kind of give my 2 cents on this. Well, more like 1 cent on this signing, but let's hear those stats.
So, kind of surprisingly, like different than what I would have guessed, Matt Chapman's a one-time All-Star, finished top 10 MVP voting twice, and is a four-time Gold Glove winner, including last year when he won the Gold Glove for third base and infield. So, definitely a plus defender. Um, Last year he played 140 games, which is awesome, but he did kind of have that lack of production that you were talking about, with only hitting for 17 home runs, 54 RBIs, a 240 batting average, an OPS of 755, and an OPS plus of 108. So he was just barely an above average hitter. Kind of different from what, I look at him as a player, like an elite player, but on the offensive side, he really wasn't in his highest. He has not had a OPS above 120, or OPS plus above 120 since 2020. So not sure if his peak offensive days are behind him, but that kind of explains, because when I heard like 18 mil per year, it's pretty steep, but I was like, oh, maybe he could have gotten more. Like Cody Bellinger, 3 years, 80 million. Like,
Hmm.
why didn't he get something more closer to that? But now it kind of makes sense in terms of production wise.
Well, I know he had a
Um,
hip surgery somewhere in there after 2020 as well. I think it was a pretty significant like hip surgery that they had to do. So I wonder if that
mhm.
affected some of his production, especially at the plate. The hips are pretty important in pitching and hitting. So
Yeah, I mean, it would make sense. So yeah, I'd love to get his defensive run saved, because I mean that's honestly where um, a
most of
lot of the
his,
the value comes in, because
yeah.
he's incredible out there. But I'll let you put your 1 cent in there, Drew.
I mean, I think most people would agree with what I have to say, but I think this is probably one of the better fits for Matt Chapman. I mean, he's got an everyday role there. The Giants didn't really have a great starting baseman. Like it was going to be, I think, Wilmer Flores, but like, defensively not great. Offensively, I would probably rather have Matt Chapman. And I mean, he got a solid dollar amount. He's got a change. He's got opt outs after every year. So if he continues to improve and get better, he can go out and get more money. The Giants get a solid bat, a great defensive third baseman in there. I think this is a win-win for everybody. Like he's going to slot in middle of their lineup. He's going to lock things down um, defensively. So I mean, I'm a big fan. Like I think last week I maybe mentioned that I would love to see him with the Giants, and here we are. He's signed. So this is good news. Really, only a few big name free agents left.
Yeah. So I couldn't find the exact defensive run save, but I found an article where it said in his first 3 seasons in MLB, he averaged a 23 defensive run save. In the past year, he only averaged 8, which is interesting to me. I guess he's dropped off a little bit in even defensive production. So, um, but even so, 8 runs saved is obviously Gold Glove caliber. So, yeah, from that side of the ball is I think a good investment.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm trying
know.
to.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just trying to see if I can. Oh, here we go. Fielding. Let's see if I can find like his. Let's see. Advanced fielding. Uh, let's see. Outs above average. Past three, he had 17, then one, then four. I guess maybe stack. I guess maybe Fangraphs doesn't have defensive run saved, but yeah, definitely he seems to have fallen off the past couple of years defensively. Not to an awful level, but uh, to a slightly above average. And I wonder how much that has to do with his hip surgery that he was recovering from. Um, But yeah, I mean, do you have anything else on this signing?
No, I mean, I think we can move on to some spring training performances that we're seeing right now.
Yeah.
Um, I guess I'll get the ball rolling. I wanted to point out that I believe the man who leads the MLB in spring training homers right now is Juan Soto with 3. So maybe the hype of that deal is, I mean, very early on, obviously, but
Yeah.
I don't know if you have anything. I don't know if you saw that, Drew.
No, I did not see. I've seen a few of his home runs, and they've been bombs. They haven't been wall scrapers by any means. But I think you'd have to be an idiot to sit here and say that the Yankees just got worse with that trade and that that's not going to work out for both sides. I mean, to say that, we'll have to see if they're able to get an extension done or if he's going to hit free agency, and it will be expensive if he hits free agency. Um, but I mean, he was kind of born to be a Yankee, I feel like. I mean, big lefty bat, has the potential to hit a lot of home runs, especially with that stadium there. I mean, walks a bunch, like not great defense, kind of when you think of a Yankee, like I feel like Juan Soto really fits the bill. Um, just kind of shines in the spotlight. I feel like doesn't back down,
Yeah.
and I think that they will be really good with him, and we'll see how the Yankees are, but this is a good sign, I think, for Yankees fans to see him performing well right now. So,
Yeah. Um, I think Yankees fans are excited, maybe a little bit too excited for what that division holds. But yeah, I mean, rolling on to some other performances. Wyatt Langford's hit a couple bombs. Texas Rangers, me and Drew kind of talked about before, but looking really good with the future of Evan Carter and Wyatt Langford in the outfield. It's coming off a World Series. I mean, not much more you can ask for from an organization, right?
yeah,
Um,
I mean, it's kind of scary. Their outfield, and I mean, Adolis Garcia is like, he's not. I mean, he's not really super old either. I'm not exactly sure how old he is, but he's still like kind of in that, those prime years that we kind of think of baseball players. Like, that outfield's gonna be really good. Langford, because he's not a great defender. Like, there really almost isn't a spot for him right now. They're gonna have to try to fit him in because Carter's kind of playing right. Maybe that's a position that you would like to stick Langford, just because, like, I mean, he was the backup catcher at Florida until like his sophomore year. Like, he didn't really even start playing outfield until really recently. And I mean, he's an athletic guy. Like, I think that a lot of people feel that he can kind of pick up playing outfield, but I mean, I don't know. It's kind of late in his career to be, you know, learning like a position like to an elite level, especially when you haven't really played it at all. It takes kind of a special guy to be able to do that. So I'm really interested to see like how good he will be defensively. But um, yeah, the future looks bright in Texas.
yeah. Moving on to some of the international acquisitions. Shota Imanaga, I believe I'm pronouncing that right, had his first outing with the Cubbies in spring training. I believe he said he struck out 5, Drew, or something along
Yeah,
those lines.
and I think it included Freddie Freeman as well. So
Yeah, so very successful first outing from him. And then the guy that everybody kind of heard of from in terms of international prospects, Yamamoto Yoshinobu Yamamoto. Excuse me, I'm sorry. So it's a
it's a
difficult name
tongue
to
twister.
pronounce, but yeah. He pitched 2 innings, 4 Ks. I believe he says 2 hits, no runs. So yeah, I mean these guys can pitch. So yeah, I want to give a shout out to a guy. I didn't actually mention this to you, Drew. Not an international guy. Getting back to some other spring training performances. Casey Mize for the Tigers, a guy that I really like. He's recovering from Tommy John. He only threw 10 innings last year because he tore it early in the year. I'm a big fan of his stuff. In 2021, he started 30 games with a 3.71 ERA. I was really highly touted prospect. I think he's a guy that I've watched video on, throws really well. I think he throws, kind of similar arm slot to me. So I've, tried to pick up some things from him. He went in his first appearance back from Tommy John, went 2 innings, 1 hit, no runs and 2 Ks. I did have 2 walks, maybe a result of the kind of control getting back from Tommy John, but I think that's a guy to look out for who side by side with Maeda and Flaherty maybe could put
Yep.
Tigers in a position to compete for a very weak division. So
Oh yeah. No, I that's a guy that I am really excited to see back this year too. He can really help out. The Tigers are kind of, I feel like are starting. They're trying to trend towards being contenders right now. I mean, they're calling up all their prospects. Torkelson, as bad as he has been, that second half last year was actually looked to be a step in the right direction, and actually, I felt like was positive. Riley Green dealt with some injuries, their center fielder, but he looked really good when he was healthy. They've still got the eyesore of Javi Baez's swing and miss rate out there at short, but I find it hard to believe that he's as bad as he was this past last year, this year. I don't think he'll be elite or great, but I find it hard to believe that he will replicate last year's season. But yeah, I mean, like you said, I think Casey Mize can be a really effective pitcher. That 2021 season where he had the low three ERA, like that's a guy who can propel a staff. Maybe not a true one, but like a 1-2 punch if Maeda is healthy and consistent and pitches well. That's a really good 1-2 punch. To maybe help you contend. I think they're still probably a few pieces away, but I'm excited to see him pitch again, definitely. And then Shota Imanaga for the Cubs. I'm really interested to see how well he actually performs in the regular season. I think this is a guy that, first off, the Cubs got on an absolute steal, I think, or not a steal, but I think a lot of industry members believe that he was going to get a lot more money than the Cubs gave him. Um, and I think he's a good pitcher, but I'm just interested to see. I don't think he's like he's not Yoshinobu, like some of these other guys who have come over. Like I think people acknowledge that he's good, but also they could acknowledge that he is a guy who could struggle as well. So I'm interested to see how he does. Obviously, Yoshinobu, everybody is excited for that, especially after his appearance the other day. I think he'll be really good. So, but yeah, it'll definitely keep an eye on those two guys to see how the transition is. Um, I mean, like Kodai Senga had a really good year, but I feel like the first 2 months were a little inconsistent up and down of him kind of getting his feet underneath him. So, but
yeah, I don't want to go into too much of a rabbit hole here because as a White Sox fan, I've thought about kind of the AL Central a little bit and just how much of a toss up it is. And I mean, it's really honestly a Royals with all the moves they made, a Tigers, and then the Twins are favored. That's the conversation. But I do want to I mean, I was looking at the Tigers depth chart because I was just curious. Their top four pitchers, if they stay healthy, are Kenta Maeda, Tariq Skubal, who's I think is
yeah.
one of the more underrated guys,
Hmm.
Jack Flaherty, and Casey Mize. And then you look at the Royals rotation now, which again, they have some kind of older pieces, but guy that has been blowing up Twitter and all this is Cole Reagans.
Yep.
Is
Hmm.
a sleeper AL Cy Young pick, which is legit because he throws 100 with like 20
He's
inches of vert.
nasty. Yes.
Yeah, he's disgusting. Like him, Braysinger, Michael Walker, Seth Lugo. Like again,
Hmm.
that's not a bad top four.
No, I
Um,
think I think I think the Royals are severely underrated going into this season. They've made small but super impactful moves on their roster, and Bobby Witt, I think, is going to take the next step. Vinny oh man,
Pascantino.
Pascatino, is going to be healthy and looking to take the next step. MJ Melendez will theoretically no longer catch or play right field for them, where he is just really bad defensively, but hits the ball really hard. So maybe we'll see him more into a full time DH role. But um yeah, like that rotation is really they've, like it's not crazy good, but for the Royals, but like it's pretty good. And I think it's good enough to contend, maybe give the Twins a run for their money for the division. And I mean, like you said too, with the Tigers rotation, that's also like really solid. Like I think probably like I think maybe you're a little worried about Flaherty and Maeda just because they've kind of had inconsistencies. I mean, Maeda was really good this past year in Minnesota, but he has had some inconsistencies recently, and then obviously Flaherty. was really, really good with the Cardinals from like 19 to 21, I want to say, and then like has really struggled recently. And was traded to Baltimore, but couldn't quite figure it out. So, but yeah, I mean, those are two teams that they're looking to take big steps forward. So,
Yeah, I think kind of moving on to the last. I completely agree. I want to pray that the White Sox pull off a miracle and compete for that division, but um, probably not going to happen. But moving on to kind of the last of the performers in the spring training that I wanted to shout out. Tamar Johnson hit 2 bombs in a game. A guy that didn't have a great year in minors last year for the Pirates, but was a top 5 overall pick. So maybe seeing some flashes of future greatness from him. And then I'm blanking on somebody else. Oh, Corbin Burns, I wanted to say, had a good first outing with the Orioles. Kind of nothing different than we expect, but just very exciting for Orioles fans, and keep our eyes peeled for Bradish news or John Means news, because that rotation could be really good too. So I think that's all I have, Drew. If you want to,
yeah,
yeah,
I want to mention one guy as well. This will kind of be my one guy that I mentioned. In an NL East guy, James Wood. I believe he's the Nationals' number 2 prospect. Let's see, what position does he play?
he's a middle infielder, isn't he?
Yeah, I think he's a middle infielder. But 16 at bats this spring, is hitting 500 with 3 homers. And they have been crushed. He's a bigger guy, smooth lefty swing, and the ball just explodes off his bat. I think there was one that he hit or a couple weeks ago, and it sounded like a shotgun went off. It's impressive. I mean, he is having himself a spring and can hopefully, I don't know. I mean, the Nationals are pretty bad, so I don't know what he'll be able to do for them, but hopefully he'll get called up and we'll get some real playing time and really help them compete and be a good player. So
Yeah, he's that O'Neill Cruz, Ellie De La Cruz build. I mean, he's 6'6",
yeah,
234. Last year, I'm just reading off his
I
baseball
think he's a
reference.
little
Last
less
year,
athletic than them though. Like when you look at him, like he's filled out way more than they are. I think.
yeah, that would make sense because he had 18 stolen bases last year. So I mean, it seems like he's pretty athletic, but I mean, he hit 26 bombs, 91 RBIs for 262 average and 874 OPS and A+ ball and double A ball last year. So dude's a player.
He can rake.
Yeah. And I mean 18 stolen bases go along with it. I mean, that's a 20, you're looking at a 2020 player.
Hmm.
It's pretty good.
Definitely.
So
Um,
yeah,
Anybody else?
I think that's it. I think if you wanted to shout out a couple college baseball things, I'll see what I can say.
I think we may have to. Um, I guess first and foremost, the Palmetto series was this weekend's Carolina versus Clemson. Greatest rivalry in college baseball, in my opinion. I think most people will agree with me. Friday nights, the home game for South Carolina Founders was rained out. Big bummer. Saturday, electric game, 12 innings, 4-4, and um, Clemson walks it off on a homer. I believe it was. Oh man,
It's
it
Sifu.
was Sifu. Yeah, it's a weird name. I think he's a transfer for them. Or like he's from not this area. Like I think it's a guy that the Michigan coach either like recruited pretty hard or transferred in. It was good. He hit it off the freshman Eddie Copper, who has been our midweek guy, our midweek starter. I mean, he's got electric stuff. I don't know if he pitched against y'all, but I mean, he sits like 92, 94.
He
Like
did pitch against us. He was
he's
he's talented.
he's legit. He can have some control issues, but like when he's on, he pitched like 4 innings in relief, and I thought they left him before when he came out for the 12th. I was like, oh man, are they really leaving him out there again? Like I think he struck out the first dude. Next guy hit a ball that was caught at the base of the wall in dead center. And then Sifu hit it basically the exact same spot, but about 20 feet further for a home run. So interesting move there to leave him in, especially as a freshman in a big game like that. I would have figured that they maybe went to like Ty Good or something like that, the 5th year senior. But and then today in Clemson, we South Carolina lost 5-4. SQ gave up 3. Kimball gave up two solo shots. And then Cole Messina had a bomb in the first inning. Yeah, first inning. Petrie hit a solo home run in the 9th to pull within 1. Brewer had a good game. So disappointing to say the least, because I felt like on paper South Carolina was a better team. Like I don't know, but we've got some big holes in our lineup. Casas is hitting below 200. Parker Nolan is hitting below 200. Tippett is hovering right around the Mendoza line. Blake Jackson has not been hitting as expected. So we've got some things that we've got to address, got to figure out. At the end of the game, actually, so Casas walked and they pinch ran Stone for him. And instead of letting Casas re-enter, they put Stone out in center and moved Petrie to first and put Dylan in right, which is something that I have thrown out there to some friends. I don't know if I told you that, Shane, but I've mentioned putting Stone out there in center because he plays great defense and he also swings the bat at the plate. Sure, he's not a great hitter, but he at least like swings, and that's something Casas doesn't really do. So we'll see if we see any more lineup changes moving forward for Carolina. But it was a great series, electric. I mean, 2 1-run games. I mean, that's all you can ask for 2 of the better teams in the country. Saw great pitching, great hitting. It's really fun. I think that we're gonna shout out a teammate of Shane's. You're gonna have to remind me his name. Riley
Hughey.
Riley Hughey. Absolute dominance on the mound yesterday for Winthrop. 20 Ks out of the 26 hitters that he faced. He did that in 7 2/3. Do you know the pitch count?
Yeah, I do. It's 124.
Okay, so a lot of pitches. How many walks do you know?
So I can give some context to the pitches too, if anybody's listening. Like early in the season, he had a no hitter actually going into that last hitter, and so he was riding out the no hitter, and then once he gave up the hit, 7 2/3 no hit pitching, and gave up the hit, and that's why he went that. But he gave up out of 2 walks, 1 hit, 7 2/3, 20 Ks. That's 20 Ks.
That's yeah. I mean, I don't care who you are. That's electric. I mean, that's just we talked about Hagen Smith, right? The Arkansas guy. We talked about him a couple weeks ago, having 17 against that loaded Oregon State lineup. I mean, 20 Ks is impressive. I don't care who you are, who you're going against. I mean, that's just really hard to do. So he went out there and balled out.
And the man that is likely going to be competing for Mr. Riley Hughey, or according to Stephen Scotch, Big Donkey, Riley Huge Nuts is what he called him, which was pretty funny. Is Jack Caglione from Florida, had a pretty good performance himself. 6 innings pitched, 16 Ks, 16 or 17, I can't remember.
I think it was 16.
16 Ks against Miami. Personally, 7 2/3, 20 Ks is more impressive to me. Non-biased, definitely non-biased. No, I mean, I legitimately think that was the most dominant performance I've ever seen. So hopefully that is awarded in a National Pitcher of the Week award. So
I think he should get it, but my opinion doesn't matter, I guess. So, but
it was against University of Maine, who won their conference last year. I know it's a mid-major conference, but they did win their conference last year and made a regional. So it was a 20K performance against a regional team. So just saying, but
Miami was not a regional team last year.
Weren't they? I think they hosted a regional.
No way they hosted.
Yeah, wasn't it the Miami, Texas, and Maine was actually in that regional, weren't they? I'm pretty sure they were, and Texas beat them in that regional.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Dang, no way they hosted. I don't think they're very good, but whatever.
Anyway, speaking of Miami, I think we can jump into some upsets. Miami took 1 from number 4 Florida, who Florida took the other 2.
They cruised in those other 2 victories. It was pretty pretty dominant. I think today was like 8-4, and then or maybe that was the Friday game actually. But
Today was 8-4.
yeah.
You're correct. I'm looking at that thing. Uh, and then Akron took one from number 12 Duke. Southeast Louisiana took a game from number 11 East Carolina. University of Massachusetts took one from number 13 Virginia. Arizona, who is not ranked and actually currently has a losing record, 5-6, took one from number 20 Indiana, who actually had a rough weekend. They lost to Alabama, who's I think ranked like 16th, but
Yeah.
Arizona mercy ruled them 7, so Indiana is
Yeah.
probably going to drop out of the rankings. UConn took one from number 23 Auburn. Oregon took one from number 24 UC Santa Barbara, who just keeps holding on to a ranking spot, but I think they got to
But
drop
I
eventually.
think UC Santa Barbara did take that series though.
They did. They beat Oregon in 2 out
Yeah.
of 3, but
And Oregon's a good
technically,
team. They hosted a super regional last year. Or no, they hosted a regional and then or no, yeah, they hosted the supers, right? Because they played DBU, right?
I think you're correct on that. Yeah, but technically it's the upset because Oregon's not ranked and
No,
UC
yeah,
Santa
yeah.
Barbara
But
is.
I think they're a solid team though.
They are. That was a good series. Let me make sure I'm not missing. And there's some big games like LSU beat Texas number 3 versus number 15, and then Vandy number 11 versus number 15. Vandy also beat Texas. Texas A&M got a couple wins against some bigger schools like Arizona State. Um, and then let me make sure I'm not missing anybody. A good team that I know.
Campbell dropped a game.
Yeah, you're right. Dropped game 1 to Georgia Southern. Who's
And then
actually
they
a good
got
team.
yeah. And they also this is a tough week for them. They dropped a game and they got smoked in a midweek against Coastal after they had been really, really hot. I think they were undefeated going into that Coastal game. No, they had one or two losses, but they were really hot and they had just swept the UC Santa Barbara, right?
No, they lost 1 to UC Santa Barbara. I think that was their
Okay,
one
so they took
loss.
2 out of 3 from UC Santa Barbara, but yeah, so those were some tough losses. Um, see who else. I think that's
Binghamton
all
put
the
up against a good series against Wake Forest. Lost 5-7 the first game,
yeah.
9-8 the second. I mean, that's pretty. I don't know what the game today ended up like, but it's pretty impressive, honestly.
Yeah.
Make sure I'm not missing anybody. NC State took care of business.
Who did UNC
Okay.
play this weekend?
Princeton, and I think
Yeah,
they swept them.
they probably took wiped the floor with them.
Make sure I'm not missing anybody that deserves a shout out.
Oh, we do
Florida.
need to shout out. There is somebody that we need to shout out. Um, all right, give me a second.
While you're doing that, I do want to shout out Florida State, who was undefeated. I believe they're maybe the only undefeated.
I think
Power 5 team.
they're pretty good, I think.
Yeah, I think they're 10-0.
They're not ranked right now, but that's gonna change.
Their starting pitching is great. They're 10-0. Yeah, they haven't lost yet. And let's see if they have any they have 2 Power 5 wins already, and they go up against a pretty talented Florida Gulf Coast team Tuesday, Wednesday this week. So that actually should be pretty interesting.
Yeah, sorry, I'm looking up this one player. You'll know who this is. You actually might know who it is, but I'm just going to make sure I get it right. Georgia Tech's freshman
Drew
Drew Burris has been lighting the world on fire. Actually, Georgia Tech got swept this weekend by
Georgia.
They blew like a 9-3 lead today. But he has been raking. What is he up to? Let's see. Let me figure this out real fast. Let me see if I can
I
find
think
his
it's
home run total.
9 bombs.
I thought he was at 10.
You might be correct. I can find it real quick actually because I have a database that tells me all this stuff.
Oh,
he's up. He's got 9.
sorry. Excuse me.
He has 9 bombs. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty impressive. That'll play from a freshman. Georgia Tech is really bad though. They are not fielding a competent team. Getting swept by Georgia is that's not great. Georgia's pitching staff is really bad. They do have Charlie Condon. It's like
Actually, this might
CON.
not be updated from this weekend. Actually, looking at it, updated. Yeah. Okay. So this is not. You might be correct. I'm sorry. It
All
might
right,
have 10.
um no, I don't want. Let's see. Base, we'll see what this has to say. I don't know. Baseball Reference says that he has 9 home runs this year.
Yes. So I have
46.
a stat. 9 home runs, 20 RBIs.
That's what this says.
Yeah, and he's batting.
This may not be
432.
updated, or it might be. We might just be overthinking it. But yeah, so he's been lighting it up. He had a 4-homer game, first time in Georgia Tech program history the other day in a midweek against some bad school.
Against
But yeah,
not Georgia Southern, Georgia State.
Georgia State. So shout out to him. But and that's all we've got for today's episode. I think it's end up being a little shorter.
Yes,
So
sir.
thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thank you, Shane, for making some time
Absolutely.
to get back
And
out here.
big shout out to Drew. I mean, you've been the one facilitating and keeping this going. So everybody appreciate Drew and what he's doing. He's bringing you all good baseball news, and I'm happy to be back on. And again, we'll try my best to make it as a consistent appearance as I can. And thank you, Keenan. I know Drew hated on you. If you're listening to this, I appreciate you filling in for me, and look
He
forward to
won't
maybe
listen
doing a
to it.
podcast with you soon. Yeah, that's a little maybe if you don't listen to it, boo Keenan.
Yeah, he only listens to the episodes that he's in, so maybe not a true fan, but I guess we'll never know because he's not going to listen to this episode. But yeah, so thank you all for listening. Like and subscribe, share all that stuff that people do on the internet so that other people can listen to us. Not so we can get famous, but so people can know about baseball and have fun, maybe listening to us. I don't know, but
I want to be famous.
okay. Well, some people say that people out there, they say that fame ruins people. So I don't think it'll ruin Shane, but he's already a D1 athlete, so he's
Oh
about
yeah, I'm so famous. Yeah,
yeah, man.
you're
Dude,
more
I've
famous,
got a
Drew.
shirt. I've got a Shane Coip shirt in the mail. Okay, so I
Do you
mean, I don't
actually?
have. Yeah, dude, I bought one.
Why? You're such a good supporter. Oh my goodness, man! I thought you were joking.
Nah, dude, I'm dead serious. I'm about to wear that thing too.
Holy
I'm about to
crap!
put it on my story and tag you. Be like, get you some Shane Coip merch.
Oh my goodness!
Merch.
Look at this. I have supporters. I love you, dude. That made my day.
I'm Shane's #1 supporter, and you can tell Beth to go away because I'm your #1 supporter.
This is all going on the podcast.
Yeah, it is. No cuts. We don't cut anything out. Everything goes in from start to finish. It all goes in the podcast. So
This is funny.
yeah,
This is very funny.
little sidetrack there, but thank you everybody for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Peace.
Yes.